Hi, everyone. I'm going to read you a story today called Lost and Found by Oliver Jeffers. We've read some other books that he's written, and I love that he's a children's book author who does his own illustrations. I think these are particularly beautiful. I'm also fond of penguins, so that's why I was drawn to this book. It's called Lost and Found. Once there was a boy, and one day he found a penguin at his door. Once there was a boy who found a penguin at his door. The boy didn't know where it had come from, but it began to follow him everywhere. The penguin looked sad, and the boy thought it must be lost. So the boy decided to help the penguin find his way home. He checked in the Lost and Found office, but no one was missing a penguin. He asked some birds if they knew where the penguin came from, but they ignored him. Some birds are like that. The boy asked his duck, but the duck floated away. He didn't know either. That night, the boy couldn't sleep for disappointment. He wanted to help the penguin, but he wasn't sure how. The next morning, he discovered that penguins come from the South Pole. But how could he get there? The book that he's reading says where penguins come from. He ran down to the harbor and asked a big ship to take them to the South Pole. But his voice was much too small to be heard over the ship's horn. See how tiny he and the penguin look there on the dock? Together, the boy decided he and the penguin would row to the South Pole. So the boy took his rowboat out and tested it for size and strength. He told stories to the penguin to help pass time. Then they packed everything they would need and pushed the rowboat out to sea. They rowed south for many days and many nights. There was lots of time for stories, and the penguin listened to every one, so the boy would always tell another. They floated through good weather and bad. When the waves were as big as mountains, until finally they came to the South Pole. The boy was delighted, but the penguin said nothing. Suddenly it looked sad again as the boy helped it out of the boat. Welcome to the South Pole. Then the boy said goodbye and floated away. When he looked back, the penguin was still there, but it looked sadder than ever. It felt strange for the boy to be on his own. There was no point telling stories now because there was no one to listen, except the wind and the waves. Instead, he just thought. And the more he thought, the more he realized he had made a big mistake. The penguin hadn't been lost. It had just been lonely. Quickly, he turned the boat around and rowed back to the South Pole as fast as he could. Can you see in the picture who else is rowing? At last, he reached the pole again. But where was the penguin? The boy searched and searched, but he was nowhere to be found. Sadly, the boy set off for home. But then the boy saw something in the water ahead of him. Closer and closer he got until he could see the penguin. He's floating in the umbrella that they had packed for their trip. And so the boy and his friend went home together, talking of wonderful things the whole way. Oh, they're so happy to be back together. That's the end of this sweet story. I love that the boy was so concerned about the penguin that he thought he should bring him home. But then he realized he was only sad because he was lonely. And they both are happy being back together as friends. Hope you enjoyed that story and these beautiful illustrations. I'll be back to read to you again soon. Have a great rest of your day.